James Kaufman, World News Report today. Ladies and gentlemen, we are currently in a G-2 geomagnetic storm, looking at our estimated planetary KP index, which is the one that NOAA and NASA has updated and uses exclusively. That's a KP-6 G-2 geomagnetic storm, much higher than any predictions. Now, we talked about the two light CMEs combining into a cannibal CME. That might be what we're seeing here. We see disturbances prior to that during the day. And looking at the college index, well, we've been in a G1 and G2 storm for the last 12 plus hours. Looking at our Fredericksburg index, it looks like we've had 6 hours of a geomagnetic disturbance, and we're waiting on that next shoe to drop. That next shoe should drop at 7:10, and I will update y'all around that time period. But we're going to look at the space weather directly. We also have 12 hours of a geomagnetic disturbance looking at our Boulder KP index. But let's concentrate on our estimated planetary index in this G2 KP6 geomagnetic storm that we've just entered. Taking a look at NOAA's Aurora forecast, it looks like tonight's going to be a pretty good night. More so over Europe than the U.S., it appears. But it looks like we're going to get some northern lights, Aurora Borealis. Please take pictures to the north and see if you were able to see anything. We are in a G2, and that was really not forecasted. So we should have Aurora Borealis to the north. And if you can, send your pictures into worldnewsreporttoday@gmail.com, and we'll have a contest tomorrow evening where the best pictures will win actual prizes that I mailed to you. You have to live in the U.S. though. Again, send your Aurora Borealis pictures if you'd like to enter to World News Report today, and we'll have a contest if we receive at least 12 entries, something like that. Although we'll show your pictures tomorrow evening no matter. Contest or not, I'd love to have one, and you guys will decide the winner of the photo contest. Originals only, guys. Taking a look at our Discover real-time solar wind satellite here. You know, our shields are angled north and then south, north and then south. Our shields are actually down here. The red line is below the zero, which is bad. But we're not getting it as bad as I thought we would. There's a 49.77 reading there, kind of odd. And we had wind jump from about 457 to 628. Now, wind is pushed this high by plasma that's inbound. So there's a very good chance that we're about to get just really hit hard with plasma. You also see the temperatures jump up from very mild to above normal at least. But that wind right there is most probably plasma inbound. And there's some missing information here. This could be a very large spike in plasma. This doesn't make much sense here. This 0.38 whatsoever. Shields are down completely in red. Although we are getting that northern angle in blue most of the time, which I would guess would be in a G3 or maybe even a G4 storm if we weren't getting that. Although these winds are not that strong, 629 kilometers per second, and there's been no real plasma hits except for, well, these oddballs up here, the 49.77 and the one right below it. If I can grab it, well, I can't. A couple right here also. Let's take a look at ACE and see if we can get any better of a picture. Actually, I have something better than ACE. So this is plasma on Space Weather Live, and you can see we've been getting hit hard for the last 2 hours, and it's considerably dropped off. I don't know why this is not showing up on Discover satellite. They had to get this, and they did get it from NOAA. I can see the caption. Look at this plasma It went all the way to 30.37. None of this is showing up on Discover or ACE, but they had to get it from NOAA. Very, very strange. We'll take a look at the solar winds. Looks like this storm may or may not be over. It's supposed to be 2 CMEs, so we'll see what happens. Solar winds were pushed up above 600 there and are subsiding, but CMEs should not be solar wind unless the solar wind is pushed in front of the plasma. Coronal mass ejection should be plasma. Solar winds are caused by coronal holes. This was a solar flare. Filaments in solar flares actually release coronal mass ejections, which are plasma, or a little bit heavier solar wind. You can see here our BZ is south. Our shields are basically down. That's why that plasma that wasn't super substantial brought us into a G2 geomagnetic storm. Now they have 15 hours of this forecasted. Everything looks like it's dropping off. That might have just been the first of 2 CMEs that are inbound, or that might have been them doubling up. But boy, that was quick. About 2 hours of decent plasma, up to about 40, below 50 centimeters cubed. Shields down. Now, yes, NOAA is always wrong. They had this storm starting at about 1 p.m. It looks like it started about 2 hours ago, about 3 p.m. They have it actually going through the end of the day, which is 7 p.m. Central here. This is 1. This is 4 a.m. So they have it ongoing through 4 a.m. and they never went over a G1 geomagnetic storm in their forecast. But they do have 15 hours of a geomagnetic storm, and we've seen 2 hours thus far. And we're going to wait for this next bar to drop right here. I'll have that information about 7:15, and I will update you and let you know. But it looks like the storm has subsided from nothing to a G2 geomagnetic storm, and perhaps back to nothing if they go with the actual data that we're looking at. I don't see any more plasma hitting, and solar winds have relaxed. Again, there were 2 CMEs, and maybe they did not combine, and maybe we've just seen the effects of one. Shields are down, but our shields are angled to the north, which is a slight or small advantage. With that said, God bless, folks. Get those pictures for the contest. Win some prizes. Please share, give us a thumbs up, and hey, remember, anything's possible. Bizarro world.